Hey everyone, imagine you're grabbing a coffee with a friend and they just can't stop talking about this book that completely changed how they see life and love. That's how I feel about Dolly Alderton's Everything to Know About Love. It's not your typical self-help book, it's more like a wildly honest, often hilarious, and sometimes heartbreaking conversation with your wisest, funniest friend who's been through it all. I picked it up because I kept hearing people rave about its relatability. And let me tell you, it delivered. This book is essentially Dolly Alderton's memoir about growing up and figuring out what love actually means. Moving through the messy, confusing, and often quite cringeworthy years of her 20s, she lays it all bare, from her teenage fantasies of romance to the profound lessons she learns about friendship, self-worth, and ultimately, self-acceptance. It's structured chronologically, moving through different ages of her life from a teenager to 21, 25, and finally 28, and each section reveals how her understanding of love and herself evolved. So let's cast our minds back to being a teenager, right? Dolly totally captures that feeling. For her, romantic love was the most important and exciting thing in the entire world. She believed if you didn't have it as a proper grown-up, you'd failed, like her Miss Art teachers with frizzy hair. She even thought the mark of true love was when two boys got into a physical fight over you, with drawn blood but no hospital visits. She had all these rules, like losing your virginity between 17 and 18, or you'd never have sex, and cool as boys. Always told Jewish and had a car. It's such a wonderfully relatable snapshot of those absurd high-stakes teenage beliefs. But the reality of her adolescence was a bit different. She grew up in the beige suburbs, far from the cool London kids or feral country teenagers. Her soundtrack wasn't birdsong or footballs, but the agonizingly slow sound of AOL dial-up internet. This was her escape, her prison cell breakthrough into human life, especially through Miss Instant Messenger. For Dolly, Miss was a literal place she occupied for hours, connecting with phantom boys whose faces you barely knew. These online interactions were filled with intricate etiquette, like logging off and on to get a boy's attention, a complex Edwardian dance of courtship. But when these virtual relationships tried to translate into real-life meetups, they were almost always a gut-wrenching disappointment. Remember Max, the notorious Miss Casanova, who sent girls baby Jew watches? Farley, her best friend, freaked out seeing him in person and hid behind a bin. Dolly's old first date in a shopping center lasted less than 15 minutes. It really highlights that gap between fantasy and reality. Now you might be wondering, if romantic love was such a bust, where did she find true connection? This is where the book truly shines. Her friendships, particularly with women, are the real love story. Dolly's best friend Farley is her constant. They're total opposites. Dolly's messy and impulsive, Farley's planned and ordered, but they just work. Dolly even says, "Nothing luckier has ever happened in my life than the day Farley sat next to me in a math lesson in 1999. Their bond is so deep, they even shared a hobby of printing out missed conversations with boys and putting them in a ring binder to read like an erotic novel. As Dolly moves into her 20s, she dives headfirst into hedonism. University at Exeter, which she jokingly calls the Green Valley Uni, was less about radical thinking and more about drinking and, well, shagging. She even admits, from September 2006 to July 2009, all I did was drink and shag. Alcohol for her was initially an act of independence, making her feel like an adult. She recounts a wild New Year's Eve party where she snubbed a runner from a sitcom, tried to have sex in a bathroom, then blamed a broken shower on a made-up guide to Haley, the host. Another time, she accidentally convinced her friend Helen they were on a coach to Oxford when they were just on a London bus, and ended up taking a £200 sterling taxi to Leamington Spa to meet a crush. These stories are funny, but you also see the underlying chaos. Then comes the heartbreak. After her first proper boyfriend, Harry, dumps her over the phone at 21, she's inconsolable. This leads to a dangerous period where she can't eat, and for the first time, experiences the true qualifications of femininity: visible hip bones and collarbones. This sudden weight loss gives her a false sense of control in a world that feels out of control. She obsesses over calories and steps, and every compliment fed me like lunch. It's a stark reminder of how society often rewards unhealthy behaviors. She eloquently puts it, and a woman can never really be thin enough. That's the problem. We're told we have to look like the women who are paid to look like that as their profession. It's a powerful critique. So, how does she break free from this? She falls in love for the first time with Leo, a hippie PhD student. He gently nudges her towards self-acceptance, suggesting she cut her hair short when she was fixated on her long hair as her only worth. This relationship, based on tenderness and honesty, helps her begin to heal her relationship with food and her body. But the biggest test of love comes with Farley, when Farley falls in love with Scott. Dolly struggles intensely. She feels abandoned, like she's been Farley's warm-up act for 11 years until your headliner came along. She grapples with the idea that when women get into relationships, their priorities shift, and girlfriends often move down the list. It's a painful but honest look at how friendships are challenged by romantic partnerships. What happens when the path you planned with your best friend deviates? That's a question Dolly wrestles with. The book hits a deeper, more profound note with the illness and eventual death of Farley's younger sister, Florence, to whom the book is dedicated. This tragedy puts everything into perspective. Dolly describes how Farley shrunk her world during this time, and Scott became a steadfast, sturdy pillar of support. Dolly and Farley's bond strengthens, even in their shared grief. During Farley's 27th birthday, after Florence's diagnosis, Scott cooks a beautiful meal for them, and Dolly sees the man she had fallen in love with. She realizes that despite her jealousy, they are family, bonded by shared history and love for Florence. This period forces Dolly to confront the true meaning of support and enduring love beyond her own selfish desires. Then, at 25, Dolly hits an existential crisis. She echoes her friend Hannah's earlier lament, "Is this it? Is this really all life is?" Fucking Tottenham Court Road and ordering shit off Amazon. She realizes the mundanity of adult life is not what she imagined. This leads her to therapy, a place she swore should never be. With her therapist, Eleanor, she begins a forensic archaeological dig of her psyche. She learns that her fear of falling is actually a symptom of feeling broken into 100 different floating pieces and having no sense of self. Eleanor's tough love helps her unpack her people-pleasing tendencies, her need for external validation, and her inability to accept help. It's a journey of painful self-discovery, learning that you're not all that interesting. Dolly, a brutal truth that ultimately frees her from the pressure of performance. She starts listening to her own intuition, cultivating indoor plants as a metaphor for shedding unnecessary pressure. Throughout her 20s, Dolly continues to seek intense romantic experiences, often confusing intensity with true intimacy. Her bizarre virtual connection with David, an actor turned writer and intimacy coach, is a prime example. They spend weeks exchanging thousands of messages and dozens of calls, creating a magical technicolor world built on pixels. He tells her, "You're just like I thought you'd be, like the kid in the playground who covers her eyes with her hands and thinks no one can see her." But when they finally meet, the reality is a messy, confusing, and ultimately painful abandonment, leaving her feeling used and discarded. This highlights her growing understanding that intensity and intimacy, how can it have got them so mixed up? So you might be thinking, what did Dolly Alderton ultimately learn about love? By 28, she comes to some profound conclusions. She realizes that any decent man would take a woman at peace with herself over a woman who performs tricks to impress him. She states that men don't need to be kept interested, and that if a man loves you because you are thin, he's no man at all. She understands that you should never have to work to hold a man's attention. She embraces the idea that online dating is for the brave and that casual sex, done for the right reasons, can be good, but not as a prescription to feel better about yourself. She makes peace with her past relationships, realizing their stories don't define her. Most importantly, she learns that her worth isn't tied to external validation or romantic love. On a solo trip to the Orkney Islands, she has a breakthrough. "I don't need a dazzlingly charismatic musician to write a line about me in a song. I don't need to change my shape to make myself worthy of someone's love. That's not where I come alive." She concludes with the powerful mantra, "Because I am enough, my heart is enough. The stories and the sentences twisting around my mind are enough." She realizes that life's mundane moments are a privilege, and that love is often a quiet, reassuring, relaxing, puttering, pedantic, harmonious hum of the thing that happens in the everyday, not just grand gestures. Her deepest love, she learns, is with her friends. Nearly everything I know about love, I've learned in my long-term friendships with women. This book is a journey from chaos to calm, from seeking external validation to finding inner peace. It's a testament to the power of female friendship, the lessons learned from bad decisions, and the messy, beautiful process of truly knowing yourself. Dolly's honesty is refreshing, and her vulnerability makes you feel less alone in your own awkward attempts at adulting and finding love. If you've ever felt lost, like you're performing for others, or just utterly confused by the intricacies of relationships and self-worth, this book is an absolute must-read. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, and it will definitely make you feel seen. It teaches us that things will change more radically than you could ever imagine, but that self-love and the unwavering support of your chosen family are the lighthouses that will always guide you home.